Alright, welcome back to your second Java programming tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to use variables and how to operate them using math operations. So in this tutorial and for tutorials in the future, we're going to be using Eclipse for all of our videos. Now Eclipse is just a better IDE than Xcode for Java, and it's just a lot easier and faster to compile projects and run them. So it'll make Java seem a lot easier if we start using Eclipse. So we're going to do that. So if you haven't already installed Eclipse, I'll have a download link in the description as well as a video over here that you could watch. And after you've done that, or if you already have Eclipse, we can continue with the tutorial. So when you first launch Eclipse, you'll get Workspace Launcher, and inside of here, it'll ask you where you want to store your workspace, which is basically where it stores all your Java projects and classes. So this is the directory that you're going to store it in, and this is the new folder that it's going to create to store all your projects in. Alright, so I've already named mine tutorials since I'm making a tutorial, and it's going to store all my projects in there. So I could hit OK. Now once you launch this, you should see a welcome screen if you haven't already launched it already. And after you've launched it, you want to just ignore all of this stuff. It's pretty pointless, and just skip to the workbench. Alright. So this is what the IDE looks like. This is where your code goes, this is the console, and this is where you're going to have all your Java projects to access. So we need to create a Java project, so I'm going to right click and click on New Java Project. And then it'll open up with this GUI, and we're going to name our Java project Test. You can name it whatever you want, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to name it Test. Now this is the Java version it's going to use. Just use the 1.8 version. There's no need to change it, or use whatever the version that it's currently on. And this is the location that it's going to be storing this project. You could change it if you wish. I don't want to change it. It's better to leave it right there. Okay, so now we could hit finish, and then we'll have our folder that's going to store our project in here. So now I'm going to right click on this again and go down to new class. Alright, so once we make a class, you'll already store it in a package. I'll explain what packages are later, but right now let's just name the class. So I'm going to name the class Test. After you've done that, there's nothing really else you have to worry about. You can check this box if you already want your main method to be typed out for you. I don't really care, so I'm going to leave it unchecked. Okay, so now we could hit finished. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's start writing code. So I'm going to write public static void main, just making my main method. And if you don't remember, these two brackets is where we're going to have our beginning of our code start and all the code that it's going to be running from. So after we made this class, let's create our first variable. So there's many types of variables in Java, and there's a whole bunch of different ones you could use from. Some are for strings or lines of text, other is for numbers, and there's different types of number variables such as decimals, which you'd use a double. If you want to use integers, use integers. If you want to use words, then you use strings. So you'd use longs if you would want to exceed the 32-bit integer limit, which only allows you to store approximately 2 billion numbers, 2 billion different numbers that you could use. So if you want to use the numbers up to the power 64 longs, will let you do that. Now if that's still not enough, I'll explain how to use big integers later, but for now, let's stick to the basic variables. Alright, so the first variable that we're going to use is an integer, and I'm going to call that integer cookies. And we're going to assume that we have 8 cookies, so I'm just going to say integer cookies equals 8. And then you put the semicolon to end your code. Okay, so we've created our first variable, but we can't really do that much with it. So we're going to create another variable. I'm going to call this apples. Alright, so, and let's say we have 5 apples. Now if you would want to display or any of these values to the console, we could simply call their variable. So to do that, we just type the variable name inside of the println bracket. So I'm going to write cookies, and then I'm going to save this. Just go up here, click the save button, and then we could run it. Alright, so now after we've run it, we can see that it clearly says 8 in the console. Now we could just put apples in here if we want to see the number 5 appear. So that's the basics of variables. Now let's use some math operations with them. So to do that, let's create a new variable. I'm going to call it int food. So, or the total amount of food. So we could call it total if we wish. So total. How much total food do we have? And total is going to equal cookies plus apples. Really basic, really simple. And now if we put total inside of the println parentheses and we save this, we run it, we get 13. We get the sum of these two numbers. Okay, so we could do this for multiplication as well. It's pretty simple. But this time I'm going to change apples to people and call this total. So there's 5 people and each of them have 8 cookies. And let's turn this into people. Alright, so then we type in total and we save this and we run it. We should get 40. So those are some math operations. Let's just change these into math variables if we wish. So I'm going to make this int x, int y, and let's call this sum. So if we put x and we put y, put a plus sign, that's how you add. So we added that, and then we could do product for multiplication if we wanted to, which is just the asterisk, as you saw, is the symbol for multiplying. Now we could do division, so we could say quotient if we wanted to, which is just the / is for division. And if we wanted to do subtraction, it's the subtraction sign. And if we want to do exponentiation, for whatever reason, it's actually the sum, which is quite strange. You can't raise a number to a power without calling the math class. So I'll explain how to use exponentiation in a future video, but for now we don't need to worry about it. Alright, so those are our basic variables. So I've taught you how to use integers, but let's see what happens if we try to make this number 2.5. Well, you'll notice that 2.5 isn't an integer, so you can't do that. And if we run this, I'll show you that it just gives us an error message. So when we hit proceed, we get an error message, and it says the error is at line 7. The 7 indicates what line it is. Now you probably don't have these numbers here. It's something that you'd have to navigate through your preferences to have this setting where I have the numbers listed. I'll show you how to do that in a future video. But once this bait, you could count the lines and see what line your error is on. That's how you find out your error. So how do we fix this error? Well, we could easily fix it by calling this integer a double. But then right here, our IDE sees another error, and it says that you can't add an integer and a double together. So to fix that, we're going to call x a double as well. Alright? And just going to put the plus sign. Oh, and we can't add 2 doubles to get an integer, so we also have to call this a double. Okay, so once we've done that, and we run this, we could now add decimal points if we wish. So double just means like a decimal number or a fraction. So that's how you add decimal numbers, is by using the variable double. But now you know how to use basic numbers. I'll show you how to use numbers larger than the 32-bit integer limit later, but now I'm going to show you how to create text variables, and text variables are called strings. So if you want to store a string of text, then you use string. So you just call string with a capital S, and we're going to make a string. Let's just call it name. String name equals Osman. Alright. and you put those quotes again, since quotes represent text that you want to print out. And then we could just put name, and when we save this and run this, we get Austin. And we could do the same thing as well with this, where we could put text inside of here. So if you ever want to print out a variable with text, you just put a plus sign before the variable, and you put these two little quotes, and you write out whatever you want to say. So I'm going to write, my name is blank, Austin. Okay, my name is name, which is Austin. Okay, so that's how you use the string variable, and that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. In the next tutorial, we'll be going over how to get user input, which will be scanners and system input. So that should be fun. We could do a lot more once we get user input. So I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Bye.